Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Maverick News Channel. Peace in the Middle East? Maybe. Looks like it. Many praising Donald Trump tonight, while at the same time, warnings of civil war within the United States. Some people even say maybe Canada. We will see. All that. It's getting crazy around here with videos triggering themselves. Can't imagine how that's happening. We will be right back and start digging into today's top news stories right after this.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay. We have, it's been breaking news constantly every few minutes almost. It's another breaking news story related to the big breaking news, which we brought to you last night with the announcement that Hamas and Israel have accepted the first phase of Donald Trump's peace plan for the Middle East. So what do we know? Trump announced last night that the first phase of the plan to end the conflict in Gaza has been agreed to. And this includes a pause in fighting and the release of Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners. Hearing tonight that the first hostages could be released sometime next week. Trump says he is in planning to travel to Egypt for an official signing of this deal. He mentioned that today during opening remarks at his White House cabinet meeting. I'm going to dip into the NBC feed here and bring you the latest from that perspective. We have other material lined up tonight as well. Here we go. Hang on. There we go. Let's get that audio up.
Israel and Hamas. President Trump wrapping up a cabinet meeting hitting on a number of topics, but obviously the major headline today, the ceasefire and hostage deal, the first phase of that deal agreed to between Israel and Hamas. The Israeli cabinet meeting right now to approve that deal. Let's bring in senior White House correspondent Garrett Hake. Garrett, the president saying moments ago that he plans to travel to the Middle East, to Egypt. We don't know when, but he said soon.
That's right, Joe. The president says he wants to be in Egypt soon. He'd like to be there for the release of these hostages, which should start happening Monday or Tuesday. He also said he might be willing to speak in front of the Israeli Knesset, the Israeli Parliament if he's invited to do so. No sitting president has ever done that. He wants to be part of a celebration of this achievement that will go down, if it indeed proceeds as it appears it will, as one of, if not his biggest foreign policy achievement across these two terms. The discussion of this ceasefire deal really dominated this cabinet meeting, shorter than we've gotten used to from the president, with his aides going around the table, heaping praise on him and on each other for their willingness to get this done, working with Arab partners with whom the president has nurtured relationships in these 9 months or so that he's now been back in office. Really a congratulatory mood here over the length of this cabinet meeting today.
Garrett, the fragility of this deal, though, was pretty apparent as the president answered questions, right?
That's right. I mean, the first stage of this is the returning of hostages and the Israeli military set to pull back to a line that we haven't really seen properly demarcated yet. The president was asked about, are we confident that Hamas will even be able to find the bodies of the hostages who are deceased, who they are expected to return? And the president kind of danced around that answer, suggesting that he thinks this will all happen in time, not wanting to engage in hypotheticals about what happens next. But, Joe, this is how things work in this region. You might have the outlines of a deal, you might have the prospect of peace, but the details become thorny and difficult. You also heard the president allude to just even the process that the Red Cross will go through to get the living hostages out and how complex that is. So there's a lot of moving parts between now and Monday or Tuesday when we start to see these hostages, dead and alive, coming out. And it's only after they're released that the next stage, the actual peace part of these negotiations, are set to continue.
And we should note the president was asked about speaking at the Knesset, as you noticed. He felt he might have been the first American president to do that. That is not true. We're told Presidents Clinton, George W. Bush, and Carter have all spoken at the Knesset in the past. Let's bring in NBC News international correspondent Matt Bradley, who is in Tel Aviv. Matt, as far as we know right now, the Israeli government is still meeting to go over this deal. Where do things stand?
Yeah, well, it sounds as though the meeting is currently going on with the War Cabinet. That's the smaller cabinet that mostly involves security officials, but also involves some of the far-right ministers in Benjamin Netanyahu's very far-right cabinet. They have already expressed some reticence about the deal. However, they have said that they are basically signing on. Benjamin Netanyahu did a lot of work to corral his far-right into agreeing to this deal. Everybody expects that the cabinet, the smaller War Cabinet, and then the major cabinet, the full government, is going to approve this deal. That's going to start the clock on 24 hours. In those 24 hours, Israel has to withdraw its forces to the yellow line on the map that was released as part of that 20-point plan that, as Garrett mentioned, has only really been seen in macro. We haven't really seen exactly the street-by-street examination of where the Israelis are going to withdraw to. Presumably, that was discussed. But those sorts of negotiations come down to that, feet and yards. And that is what we're going to be seeing after the Israelis withdraw to that yellow line. Then we start 72 hours, during which the Palestinians, Hamas, and its partner organizations are going to have to come up with those 28 dead bodies, the corpses of those hostages still being held in the Gaza Strip, and 28 living hostages. Now, as Garrett mentioned, there are real concerns that Hamas and its partner organizations, its allies, aren't going to be able to find those dead bodies. I spoke with one man who's very close to the Palestinian side of the negotiating team. He said today that a lot of the fighters who buried those bodies have since been killed. So there are plans for an international group to come in representing multiple countries of researchers to try to find those remaining bodies. So all of this still hangs on quite a few different but very narrow threads, and whether or not we get to phase two sometime early next week will determine the tone and tempo of how this proceeds from now on. After those first 96 hours, we're in uncharted territory. Negotiators have not determined what's going to happen after that.
So we've seen leaders from Hamas make statements online saying the war is now officially over, because they have guarantees that the aggression from Israel will come to an end. And as a result of all of that, we're seeing celebrations in Gaza. This is Sky News.
هذا يوم من أيام الله
Says this is a very blessed
المباركة.
day.
طبعا زي ما تقولي حلم،
You could
هذا
say it's a
حلم
dream. We
والحمد
thank
لله رب
God.
العالمين. رحم الله
Bless our
شهداءنا
martyrs. May God
وشفي
heal
الله
our
جرحانا.
wounds, she says.
وإن
God
شاء
willing, the
الله
greatest joy will come when
الفرحة الكبيرة عندما
captives are
يطلعون
released
الأسرى
from
من
the
سجون
occupier's
الاحتلال.
prisons.
بهدلونا
They
تبهدلنا
ruined
كثير
us, this
احنا.
man says.
هلقيتهم
Everything.
بقول لك وقف
They
اطلاق
say
النار.
ceasefire.
طب
We're
احنا
pleased about
انبسطنا
the
وقف اطلاق
ceasefire.
النار. بعد ايش؟ بعد
But
ما
after what?
ماتوا.
After all our loved
بعد ما ماتوا
ones,
حبايبنا واهلنا
families and relatives are killed?
وقرايبنا.
What is this?
وايش ضل
We destroyed all
فيها
of
وقف
Gaza.
اطلاق النار بقطاع غزة. والله هو
Good
خبر
news. We want
كويس
truce to happen, he says. Because
واحنا
we're so tired.
بدنا الهدنة تصير لانه احنا تعبنا
We're
اساسا.
humans, basically,
احنا
standing
بني
in
ادمين
front.
واقفين هيكل قدام العالم
whole
كله
world like
والعالم
this,
كله بيتفرج
and the
علينا
world is
وان
watching.
شاء الله هيك نتامل خير
Hope the
في
truce is for the best.
الهدنة.
And the world is watching and commenting. Vladimir Putin saying he is supporting President Trump's Gaza peace plan. Bring that up. Of course, he has his hands full with his own war in Ukraine, and we'll get to that in just a moment. Here's Putin. Situation in the Middle East, then on the background, humanitarian tragedy and catastrophe in Gaza, he says. There's an active search for options to end the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. President Trump put forward a famous initiative. And how do you see it? Russia supported them almost immediately. We see what is happening now here. Achieved, according to information from the media, final decision. We really hope so. These initiatives of the President of the United States will actually be implemented in practice. This initiative, from the very beginning, was generally positively received from Arab and the Islamic world in general. Main two, I repeat again, it will be all realized, I emphasize, Russia has always proceeded and proceeds from the position of how to solve the Middle East problem can only be by political means. We are naturally ready to support any peace efforts aimed at that, to stop the bloodshed and bring calm to this region. I think you will agree with me. It was the position of the Soviet Union, and so she inherited all the republics from her USSR. We believe what main indispensable condition for long-term stabilization and resolution of all issues related to this difficult problem, main condition is the creation of an independent Palestinian state. As I kind of laid out yesterday, this does not create a direct path to an independent Palestinian state. In fact, it requires Hamas to basically disarm, hand over power to a transitional technocratic government run by technates, people with expertise in particular areas of running things. And Gaza needs to be rebuilt, which opens the door to billions and billions of dollars in foreign aid and investment, all administered through a, what are they calling it? A board of peace, which I commented on last night, chaired by whom? Donald Trump. Oh, yes. So you're going to end up with this transitional, technocratic, oligarchical government overseeing Palestine, which is being overseen by an international board of peace run by, I guess, Palestinians at the, within the boundaries of Palestine. And And then Israel still, I think, pretty much keeps everything in check militarily for now. And we're not sure exactly what a real Palestinian government might look like down the road. So it looks like peace is at least at hand, but all of this came about as a result of pressure from neighboring countries like Egypt and Qatar. And I would say that if we start looking at this and reading between the lines, I think money is coming into play here. Opportunities for billions of dollars in investment now that Gaza has been leveled. And in my Substack article the other day, as I wrote, I think this sort of opens a back door through which Donald Trump can realize his vision of turning Gaza into the Riviera of the Middle East by attracting all this foreign investment, which he oversees and exerts influence on through his Board of Peace position as the chair of that organization, overseeing the technocratic transitional government within Gaza, which is supposed to be transitional, but may well end up being permanent or semi-permanent, maybe there for who knows how long, years. I doubt it's months. Meanwhile, some people are going to get a pretty hefty return on their investment as long as they're able to keep the peace. And what better incentive to keep the peace among a bunch of very rich, wealthy, ultra super rich billionaires than to give them an opportunity to invest and make even more money. Remember when he said that the United States would own, or said, we will own Gaza, and then came out with his plan for the Riviera of the Middle East? Well, if you really peel back the layers, start to look at it through that lens, it does start to make sense that way. I mean, how else was he able to achieve this tentative peace deal? First phase agreed to. We'll see how it unfolds. We will see. Here he is today saying that he has now stopped 8 wars, not 7, 8 in 9 months. Let's check in with the president himself. Okay, shall we? Okay, Don, take it away.
I know this, that nobody in history has solved 8 wars in a period of 9 months. And I've stopped 8 wars. So that's never happened before. But they'll have to do what they do. Whatever they do is fine. I know this. I didn't do it for that. I did it because I saved a lot of lives. And that's the thing that bothers me so much about the Russia-Ukraine. 7,000 people are dying a week. Young soldiers. They're almost all soldiers of Ukraine and Russia. So in theory, it doesn't affect us, no, but it's a terrible thing. And we'll get that solved too. But nobody has ever done 8 wars. Nobody's done 8 wars in 30 years, let alone 9 months. I know this, that nobody in history has solved 8 wars in a period of 9 months.
Okay, let me just pull that down. I want to take a little break. I've got some new information. I'm probably going to go to that and update you this way. Hang on.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
As I said, with this story, every moment seems to be another moment where we get another breaking news story on the big breaking news story, which is this peace deal out of the Middle East. And in fact, we have a live feed now coming out of Fox News where they are reporting that 200 U.S. troops are going to be sent to Israel in order to oversee the implementation of this peace deal. Let's pick up that feed and bring you the latest. Let's get it going.
Thanks for being with us here on Live Now from Fox. We do have some breaking news that we do want to bring to you here on this Thursday. I want to put this up on your screen. This is from the Associated Press, just putting this out a few moments ago. I was able to bring it to you at the top of the hour, but we are continuing to learn new details as the U.S. says that it's sending about 200 troops to Israel to help support and monitor the Gaza ceasefire deal. And so this announcement was just made today, and it's meant to be a part of a team that includes partner nations, non-governmental organizations, and private sector players as well. This is all according to some of those U.S. officials. So these officials who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss the details not authorized for release said that the U.S. Central Command is going to be establishing a, quote, civil military coordination center there in Israel that will help to facilitate the flow of humanitarian aid as well as logistical and security assistance into territory that's been wrecked by war over the last 2 years. To talk a little bit more about it, I want to put up this live vantage point that we do have there overlooking the Gaza Strip. And so we do know that these remarks do provide some of the first details on how the ceasefire deal would be monitored and how the U.S. military will have a role in that effort. Israel and Hamas did agree this week to the first phase of a Trump administration plan to halt the fighting. And a litany of questions still remain on some of those next steps, including Hamas's disarmament with the withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza and a future government in the territory. So one of those officials on the new team that would help to monitor the implementation of the ceasefire agreement and the transition to a civilian government in Gaza said that this is going to be a major part of what's to come. The coordination center will be staffed with about 200 U.S. service members who have expertise in transportation, planning, security, logistics, and engineering. This is all according to that same official who noted that no American troops will be sent into Gaza. A second official said that troops would come from the U.S. Central Command as well as other parts of the globe. That official added that the troops have already begun arriving and will continue to travel to the region over the weekend to begin planning efforts and to establish the center. And of course, we also know this pairs with the fact that President Trump is also expected to begin his trip over to the Middle East as well this weekend. I want to put up this live vantage point that we have there of the White House. So still so many details, but the biggest to come out just this hour is that the U.S. says that they are going to send just about 200 troops to Israel to help support and monitor that Gaza ceasefire deal, with President Trump planning that trip to the Middle East as well.
And we're booked using less points with my TD Aeroplan Visa Infinite card.
We will continue to monitor that too, but another significant development. I hope everything goes okay. You don't want those soldiers caught in the crossfire of anything. And this seems to be very, very fragile. Here's Senator Rand Paul posting on X/Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Still can't get my head wrapped around the single letter name. But here's his post. President of the United States, POTUS, has brokered a historic peace plan that could bring every hostage home. Real leadership, diplomacy with strength and persistence. We may differ on some things, but we share a firm commitment to peace. Thank you, President Trump, for delivering where others could not. And he highlights the president's post from the White House, where Trump says, I am very proud to announce that Israel and Hamas have both signed off on the first phase of our peace plan. Blessed are the peacemakers. President Donald J. Trump. He says, and this means all of the hostages will be released very soon, and Israel will withdraw their troops to an agreed upon line as the first steps toward a strong, durable, and everlasting peace. All parties will be treated fairly. This is a great day for the Arab and Muslim world, Israel, all surrounding nations, and the United States of America. And we thank the mediators from Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey who worked with us to make this historic and unprecedented event happen. Blessed are the peacemakers. So lots of praise for Trump tonight after surviving so far a hell of a lot of criticism for a lot of things, not to mention the Epstein files, but there's another subject for maybe later. I'm sorry. It's just true. Hang on here. I need to click back here. All right. Let's take a little break while I queue up the next clips. Lots going on here. We have other news stories to dig into as well, but I want to make sure we give this the attention it's due. I'll be right back.
The information war is raging. Truth without integrity is worth nothing. Maverick News. Because those who have power and those who seek it must be held accountable.
The world is watching.
Join our family of truth seekers. Donate today and add your voice to the chorus of Maverick Knights. Donate at maverickdonations.com. Truth. Integrity. It's the Maverick way. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Told you so. This didn't take long. Trump confirming that wealthy Arab nations surrounding Gaza will help rebuild Gaza post-war as part of the peace deal. He says it's got to be done slowly. And you have tremendous wealth, he says, in that part of the world by certain countries. And just a small part of what they make will do wonders for Gaza. See, told you. It's a deal. It's a business transaction. Some people are going to make some coin.
But there's tremendous spirit. See to it. Gaza is going to be slowly redone. You have tremendous wealth in that part of the world by certain countries, and just a small part of that, what they make will do wonders for Gaza. And I think you're going to see some tremendous countries stepping up and putting up a lot of money and taking care of things. But there's tremendous spirit like I haven't seen. And see to it. Gaza.
Don't know what else to tell you, man. Marco Rubio, I think, honestly, did a lot of the heavy lifting on this behind the scenes. In fact, you saw him yesterday come into that roundtable discussion on Antifa and whisper into Trump's ear, told him that they have an agreement for phase one of the plan, and then he exited back the way he came. But tonight, or today, at a cabinet meeting, he praised Trump and said couldn't have happened without POTUS.
You know, I don't know if one day perhaps the entire story will be told about the events of yesterday, but suffice it to say, it's not an exaggeration that none of it would have been possible without the President of the United States being involved. It really began with your trip to the Middle East, where these relationships were forged with partners in the region, personal relationships, close relationships that created the foundation where all this was possible. Where I think this really took a turn. Remember, a month ago, no one thought this was possible. You know, I don't know if
No. I imagine someday the whole story will be told. In fact, it probably will start to come out as soon as Trump leaves office. So Trump, here we go. A lot of people now, not a lot, many, I don't know how to quantify it, calling for Trump to get that Nobel Peace Prize, at least online. This is what I'm referring to. Let me show you. He wants it in the worst way. And farmers in Israel, I guess, have plowed their fields this morning with a message calling for President Trump to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. Nobel for Trump. Maybe. You know what? I'm skeptical. But hey, it could be real. Then again, this could be AI. I don't know. Does this look real? Let's look. I'm looking. What do you guys think? I'm going to look in the chat. I'm going to take a poll. Anybody, what do you think? Is that real or is that AI? Look at the lines on the letters. I think that's AI, man. I don't think that's real. I wonder how much Trump paid somebody to put that up. Nothing's real anymore. I'm pretty sure that's fake. Says here on the post, it says, this is from Patriot Oasis. If President Trump doesn't receive the Nobel Peace Prize, they should just disband it. Whatever that means. Disband? You mean ban it? Here, I'll show you. Right there. Disband it. Ban it. Pretty sure that's fake. Okay, now here's some other praise from mainstream media tonight.
Have failed to do.
Just need to underscore what an enormous...
Make no mistake, it looks like President Trump has actually pulled off something here that many presidents before him have failed to do.
Just need to underscore what an enormous moment this is for so many people in this region, for the people of Gaza who have endured 2 years of war, for the families of these 48 remaining hostages who have endured 2 years of absolute agony. This is a watershed moment.
We've heard it again and again from a number of people today, really giving credit to President Trump for getting this deal over the finish line. What are you hearing from your sources with regard to President Trump's role in getting both parties to sign off on at least the first phase of this peace plan?
Well, certainly this is an enormous moment for the world, but also for this administration, a big win for the president who has been very personally involved in this, Lindsay.
Is a major accomplishment for President Trump, something that he's been really trying to work toward. There's been a lot of critics and questioning of whether or not he could pull off sort of negotiating and working to try to get all these sides together. Of course, there were a lot of nations involved. So this is, of course, not just a victory for President Trump, but really a number of Arab nations, Hamas, and of course, Israel. But this is really huge news. And the president, of course, announcing it online.
So what do you make of what the president has said in a social media post, that they've signed off on the first phase of the peace plan? What does that mean to you?
Anderson, momentous day. There's not much good news in the world. This is great news. I am trying to hold it together, honestly. I've worked on this issue a very long time.
Israel, make no mistake, this is a huge night, potentially the end of the nightmare. For the people of Gaza, this is going to be an enormous relief. For the people of Israel, potentially the end of a 2-year-long nightmare.
And for these families still waiting for the remaining hostages who are still alive to come home, this has been an agonizing wait. And of course, the families who will get the remains of loved ones who died while in captivity.
Well, credit where credit is due, right? See if it holds together, and hope that it does. Holy smokes. Here, look at this post, though. You know, you got to, lest we forget, too, right? And keep things in perspective, and then also question everything you're being told. I don't know how exactly accurate this is. It says, the peace president in Orwell's 1984, all funded by the U.S., including Trump. In 2 years, Israel has dropped the equivalent of 10 Hiroshima-sized bombs on Gaza. So there's that. But maybe the time has come to push that stuff aside as everyone finally seems prepared for peace. Finally. No more wars for Israel, America. Zelensky looking to score some points here. He says he will nominate Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize if he follows up what he's done in the Middle East by securing a ceasefire for Ukraine. Says he will nominate Trump for the Peace Prize if he secures Ukraine ceasefire. Zelensky floated the idea of nominating U.S. President Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize in a briefing to reporters 2 days ahead of the announcement of this year's winner, who would have been selected earlier in the autumn. So that was earlier, just about 9-10 hours ago. Things have certainly changed over in the Middle East. A lot of criticism leveled at Trump, even as we appear to be on the verge of peace in the Middle East, because he says he's going to send Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine. He says he wants to know exactly where they'll be used and for what, but it looks like Tomahawks are on their way to the Middle East. Some people, well, I saw Canadian Prepper today. I mean, he's one of the streamers who expressed concerns about that, not surprisingly. A lot of others concerned because, as I understand it, Tomahawks are potentially nuclear capable. So it really does raise the stakes Will it change things? A lot of people saying it won't be a game changer, but I'm not so sure. We already have Russia facing, serious fuel shortages. That's serious. It's affecting the economy. These strikes by Ukraine against energy infrastructure, specifically oil and gas, taking out refineries. And there's lots of talk of war in Europe. So as much as we have all this talk of peace, we still have war, especially, of real serious concern for me is talk of civil war. Now, I've been seeing all kinds of references and warnings to civil war, erupting in the United States. Tucker Carlson, just the latest overnight, I noticed he posted a featured video that is, of course, getting a lot of traction. He says the U.S. could be on the verge of a civil war. And he points to Portland as proof. Here's a clip from his latest effort online.
It's political jewelry. It's a bumper sticker. It's not a national identity, and it's not enough to hold your country together. And that's why ours is coming apart, because people don't have enough in common. So what would happen if it wasn't that long ago? Well, not to be depressing, but here's the truth and something you should keep in mind over the next few years. The United States, two things to keep in mind. The United States is moving, not inexorably, but still moving toward civil war, number one. And number two, civil wars are the very worst kind of wars, worse than any kind of war fought against a foreign adversary. So to number one, why is America moving towards civil war? For the same reason all countries that wind up in civil war get there, because the differences between their population, between people within their borders, becomes too great to bear. People decide, I have nothing in common with the people who live near me, and I don't want to live near them anymore. In other words, diversity, difference, is actually intolerable to most people. Not necessarily racial diversity, though sometimes that too, but diversity of all kinds. It is not our strength. In fact, it is, without question, our weakness, and it has always been. If you have nothing in common with your wife, do you have a stronger marriage? No, of course your marriage falls apart, and the same is true for countries. And the truth about the United States is that on every level, beginning with a demographic level, the American population has less in common with itself, with one another, than ever before. When I was born, which wasn't that long ago, it was the modern era. It was air travel and air conditioning, electricity. When I was born, the United States was about 90% white Christian. It's now less than 40% white Christian. Now, you may think that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's a massive change, an unprecedented change, really, in a very short period of time. And of course, it's not accidental or organic. That was the result of policies put in place to achieve that result, and they did. There are people who didn't want a majority white Christian country. Okay, they got what they wanted. But what do they have? They have a country with no majority demographically at all. There is no American majority, which is to say 51% of people who have something very basic in common. And so what you have is an inherently fractured country. Languages, religions, ethnicities, backgrounds, beliefs, too innumerable to catalog.
You know, when I listen to him, I have to wonder, is he warning America, or is this like soft pedaling the very conflict that he seems to be warning us against? Highlighting the divisions, using very clever language to divide, to invoke emotional response. Yeah. Yeah. Look at our country. Does it ever suck? Oh my God, it's all torn apart. Why is that? Because we have all these people here that don't get along. And oh, it's not just because of the color of their skin, although sometimes it is. Look at all the problems that we have in Portland. This where Trump keeps saying the city's, Portland's on fire. It's burning to the ground. And yet, if you actually look at what's going on, the chaos is really just in a sort of a 1 block or maybe even a half block area near the or at the ICE facility. The rest of the city, maybe not quite so much on fire, but the cameras are all trained on that. Like they're just focused on the trouble, not showing the reality around the rest of the community. Trump sending in National Guard to many of these cities. Here's a Substack from Rick Wilson, Lincoln Project, the other side of this issue, a different, the other perspective on it. And he's saying here, hang on, right there. It says, be the insurrection. If they want one, they're going to get one, he says. This is his Substack from yesterday. He says, Team Trump is known for a while now that if they want an insurrection, they're going to create one. It's why all the elements of the MAGA message machine are on overdrive, from Fox down to window-licking scamfluencers like Benny Johnson and Nick Sorter, each breathlessly lying about the carnage on the streets of Portland. They've been telegraphing this play for years, the fantasy of crossing that final bridge, of four-wheeling across the Rubicon, of flipping the last switch on the control rod panel at Chernobyl, because what could possibly go wrong? Like a third-rate magician with a tell so obvious a blind man could spot it, Donald Trump and his clique of pissant authoritarians have switched from wannabe to gonna be, itching to turn the United States military into their personal palace guard, their political police force, their Praetorian Guard for the 1,000-year Trump Reich. And even that language, I would say, is certainly not aimed, I don't think, at defusing things. It seems like a lot of people want to fight. Some language stronger than others, but the effect in the end may be the same, just with the one side or the other. Smart money is on stay the hell away from it all. Because there are plenty of places to go rather than straight into the thick of things. And honestly, I watched that Nick Sorter get arrested. We ran the video here. Let me see if I can bring that up again. And he's been doing interviews about it. And, he keeps saying things like, I got arrested just for walking down the street. Well, it wasn't that simple. You had a protest ongoing. You had like a portable gazebo set up, and he prepared. You could see in the video he was going to walk right into the center of the of their tent, which was illegally set up, no question. Should be on the sidewalk. You need a permit to set up a gazebo or a tent on the sidewalk for any kind of an event. Of course, they didn't have one. His wrongful arrest by Portland police. So let me just bring up the X feed here. I'm sure we're going to find that video again. I just want to show you, because what we have is this new trend, or a trend. I think it's new because of social media, where you're seeing influencers accidentally on purpose get arrested or get assaulted by running right into the thick of a potential conflict, to get up in the face of some person with the alternative point of view. And then they claim to be a victim on the other side. Did he have the right to walk down the sidewalk as he was arrested? Yeah, he does technically, I think, have the right. There's the flag thing. See if we can find his actual arrest. So that's them taking him away. But I want to show him and the actual incident that led to him being arrested. Not just them putting the cuffs on him. Because he live streamed it. And it gives you, a more proper perspective. Although not everything, because you've got things leading up to even that and so on. Come on, Nick, where'd you go? Maybe I won't be able to find it. Maybe it's been taken down. Lots of shots of him being arrested, but not him walking into that tent. Well, we have it. We showed it the other night. Most of you probably remember seeing it. But this is because both sides are kind of intentionally clashing with each other. I'm not saying he's alone or that he was right or wrong. I'm just drawing your attention to it so you have proper perspective on it, right? And then as a result of what he did, we've seen a lot. This was, pretty much over the top too. And this is why what they used as justification for sending in soldiers. Here's Christy Nome says that the Department of War is going to send in soldiers within 24 hours, in part because of the arrest of Nick Sorter.
We've seen a lot of attacks in Portland. There's a lot of with various independent journalists that have been beat, that have been hit in the face, that have been locked up and arrested. What's going on there? Can you give us any status update?
Well, you've got a presence in Portland that is Antifa affiliated, and so that is a situation where you have known professionals, targeted violence that want to tear down America and will apparently attack anyone, even journalists. They're just trying to report the truth of what's happening on the streets. So we're not just going to be rolling out of Chicago here, but we're sending in the Department of War at the request that I made to Secretary Hegseth. They're going to be rolling in here within the next 24 hours. Wow. They'll be coming to Chicago too. I put a request in today for them to come to Chicago. And we're going to not only have our officers that are out there with HSI and ICE, but we're also going to have backup from our military because everybody deserves that. And so what we saw happen to that journalist last night will not happen again. We will not allow that to happen again, where those individuals are persecuted for trying to show what's happening on our streets and for what they're doing to our law enforcement officers.
I'll be right back.
Brightleaf Innovations is excited to offer our newest investment opportunity, the Turn Easy Bed Storage Solution.
Turns with a touch, spins all the way around. Every little thing you need is easy to be found. No more clutter, no more mess on the floor. Just spin it, reach it, you don't search anymore. Turn Easy Bed, spin your world around. Storage made simple, the best you found. Shelves your way. developed by Brightleaf Innovations. Proudly Canadian and patent pending in North America. Turn Easy Bed transforms how you live.
To learn more about this innovative new product idea, an exciting investment opportunity, call 519-784-0222 or visit brightleafinnovations.com.
Okay, I have the clip that Nick Sorter live streamed himself. This is what led to his arrest, in part. Here you are. This is him walking into the hornet's nest.
All right, I want to walk through. I want to give a tour of the camp. So, all right, let's go. Ready? You have to go with me.
Where are you going?
We're going through the camp.
Okay.
Yep.
Through the camp.
No.
Unfortunately, I'm going.
Don't fucking touch me.
Get out of the way.
Don't fucking touch me.
Get out of the way.
No.
This is a sidewalk. Get out of the way.
Don't
fucking
touch her.
Whoa.
Okay, so this piece of shit is
You're not making it.
You're no longer allowed to walk down the sidewalk in Portland, or else you're gonna get jumped and pushed and shoved and assaulted here. And we're live, right? We got it. Okay. So now you're gonna get assaulted. You're gonna be pushed. You're gonna be. Don't do that. Where'd it go? I don't know, man. I got you.
Is that journalism? Was it activism? Is he went looking for trouble. He wasn't, let's just be honest, he wasn't just walking down the sidewalk. He was walking into the middle of a protest on purpose. And then when you get pushed back, then you're the victim. And then you have the technicalities of the law and all of these issues, his right to walk down the sidewalk versus their right to free speech. And should they have had a permit for the gazebo? And where is that part of their free? I laid some of this stuff out the other night, 2 nights ago, when all this went down. Me, personally, I've been to a gazillion protests. I have never, ever, once, not even one time, have I ever been arrested for anything, let alone covering a protest where the rule, if you're a journalist, is you don't, generally speaking, get in, go looking for trouble and run into the middle of a protest. You stand back and document the event, and you're the eyes and ears of the public. And as such, you record the event and share it with the public and provide a report, maybe with some perspective. But I've never, ever run smack dab straight into the middle of a protest like that. But these days, that seems to be the new style, and it gets people upset. And of course, if you have the camera, your phone, and it's right here in front of you, and you're walking in, you can't see what's behind you. And I've noticed when this is happening, often the live streamer isn't, you don't realize that they're actually walking into the hornet's nest. It looks like the hornet's nest is coming at them, because if you have a group of people, protesters, walking down a street or a sidewalk, and you just stand there in their way, they'll walk right into you. But this is like a parade of protesters coming straight at you, and then you're sort of obstructing their path, and then it looks like they're attacking the person. And then you can assess it either way. But me, I'm inclined to avoid trouble. And if people are doing something wrong, leave it to police to deal with whether someone is violating a bylaw or any kind of a law where they're protesting improperly or maybe not entirely peacefully. If they've set up a gazebo on a sidewalk, let the bylaw officers take care of it. It's not, but you want to push the issue, force it in a kinetic way, you're going to get a kinetic response. And sometimes you get the cuffs slapped on you. Is that his fault, or is that appropriate? And then you've got now conflicting authorities because the local police are at odds with the Trump administration. Kristi Noem is taking advantage of the opportunity to say, hey, we're never going to let that happen again, and bring in more soldiers now. And then everything amps up. And this is why we're on the verge of a bloody civil war, because of stuff like that, where whatever the truth is somewhere out there. It's elusive, but each side is using the incident to strengthen their case by describing it in their own terms. So on the Nick Order side, and I haven't really seen what the Antifa or the anti-Trump protesters or whatever this is, the anti-ICE protesters, I don't really know exactly what they're saying about it, other than what we're seeing from people like Rick Wilson. But with Sorter, it's like, I got arrested just for walking down the street. And then Kristi Noem comes out, and people get it in their heads that this is actually what happened. And it's like, well, he was arrested just for telling the truth. He was arrested just for being a journalist. He was arrested just for doing a report. He was arrested just for... No, he was arrested because he ran into the middle of a protest, got into a scuffle, and I think the charges were something like breaching the peace or something to that effect, which, in court, you might be able to justify that, especially when it's live streamed that way. But if you don't like the one side and you like the other side, you're inclined to believe what you want to believe and accept that perspective because that's your team. It's very difficult to stand back and be objective about these things, especially if you have a strong bias or a dislike for an organization one way or the other. And I'm no fan of the violence that I've seen at times from the Antifa side, for sure. Very critical of all that, but so too, this I find as a journalist, I find it distasteful because what he is not a journalist in my view. He is a participant at that point in the conflict. A foot soldier on the streets of Portland. And it's getting worse out there. Here's Pam Bondi. Just here, this is just a recent post, follow-up to what she said yesterday about how they're going to go after these Antifa terrorists. See, this is the other, and it's in the rhetoric and the language, and this is what also I think should concern us as we keep hearing these references to possible civil war. I think the secret, maybe the quiet part that's not being said quite out loud yet, is that the Trump administration, I think they want this. You can sort of see it and hear it. Listen.
Antifa beats journalists. Antifa attacks our police stations. They attack our courthouses. They dox our law enforcement officers. No more. They are a terrorist group, and we are coming after them.
We are here at the White House today to unmask Antifa, to follow the money all the way to the top. If you want to get to the bottom of who is fomenting this chaos and violence in our country, you must follow the money.
I was a mainstream reporter in Seattle for 10 years before I quit mainstream media, in part due to its refusal to acknowledge the dangers of Antifa and radical left-wing violence.
Part of the problem that we have is that a lot of people refuse to believe that Antifa is real, is just a made-up thing, but I have seen them. They are real, they are dangerous, and they are violent.
They are an organized, systemic, international criminal enterprise. And what the FBI is going to do is trace the money, follow the funds, and find every single person that was involved in funding the riots and the violent acts of criminality that they are perpetrating on our street.
I've watched Antifa brutally beat, harass, and threaten Americans in the street, but all of that ends with the Trump administration.
And, you know, I have to say that even during Trump 1.0, that administration, when I saw what Antifa was doing on the streets, and this is, you know, much earlier days for social media as well, and it was certainly having a dramatic impact on me because I was really upset about it. I didn't like it at all. And I remember speaking to a couple of people, including a relative, who said that Antifa isn't a real thing. But I'd seen the fire set, I'd seen the vandalism, the destruction that was happening as a result of these Antifa protests, which is why I came out so strong against them. And I had a strong disagreement with a relative about it. And I said, you know, they are a real thing and look at what's going on. But because, again, it depends on which side of which side you're on. I think whether you even see it. Sometimes things that are right in front of your face, you're watching the video, but you don't want to believe it. You're watching a group of people dressed in black set a building on fire or break windows or whatever. But if you don't want to believe that those are your people or that you'll just dismiss it. It's a psychological thing. It's like, don't believe your lying eyes. And this investigation now, very real. Keep in mind, too, that at that, you know, when you have the Democrats in power, you had groups like the Proud Boys designated as, I believe, a terrorist organization. Now it's coming back the other way. Now Antifa is being designated as a terrorist organization, and they're investigating to follow the money.
I was brutally attacked and almost killed by Antifa in the streets of Seattle. All of my colleagues have been attacked. I can't think of a single one who hasn't. Violence against journalists and police officers in our streets can't stand.
Just days ago, I was in the Portland jailhouse, and now I'm in the White House. This administration is built different, and Antifa's days are numbered.
And I want to thank President Donald Trump for designating Antifa a terrorist organization, and I'm looking forward to the FBI and the DOJ hunting down these people like the terrorists that they are.
All I gotta say, it's a bad day.
And keep in mind that on the Canadian side, if you're on one side of the political spectrum, the Freedom Convoy was run by, in some cases, terrorists. And not all of them, maybe, but that's the way some people view it. And if you're on the other side, then they're freedom fighters, and they shouldn't have even had charges laid against them. And it depends on what you choose to see and therefore believe. It's like choose your reality.
Antifa.
And Antifa's days of using violence and intimidation against their political opposition are over.
And I've continued to report on them over the years, despite the threats of violence and actual violence that's happened, because I owe a thank you to this country, the United States, for settling my parents who were victims of communism in Vietnam.
1 month ago, Charlie Kirk was murdered by a violent leftist. We all saw it, and we all saw thousands of leftists celebrate it. Antifa symbols were found on the bullet casings of the gun used to shoot and kill my friend.
We won't take it anymore.
Okay, I'm taking it all with a grain of salt.
President Trump is not going to stand for it, and I'm so grateful that we have a leader in the White House that understands how we need to fight these sophisticated networks and how we need to take these terrorists out.
I've been attacked by Antifa, doxxed by Antifa, harassed by Antifa, but we're not standing down. We're now coming for you.
See, that's not de-escalation, that's escalation. Is it appropriate? You can decide. But when I see that coming out of the White House, I say, brace yourselves, because there's more coming. And I don't think this is going to bring peace to the streets. I think this is going to bring more violence, more chaos. And Tucker Carlson and his lengthy video going on about how he's predicting a civil war. He's saying maybe not imminently, but within years. No, I think it's like right around the corner. This is ramping up. It's just going to take one or two flashpoint incidents, and we're in deep doo-doo. Let's go to the streets of Chicago. I think this is not exactly live, but it's very recent. It was a live feed. We're going to pick it up midstream here, and this is from the channel Status Quo News. This was their live stream. We're picking it up because we've got.
Hello. I don't mind you all standing here, but cannot protest right here, okay? After 6 o'clock. Okay. All right.
And it's interesting. I had.
Yep, that's the warning for the protesters out here that it is after the protesting hours. Free speech in this area has been limited to several free speech zones behind some concrete barriers, and only during certain hours, between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. That's the only time that folks are allowed to protest out here. First, they get a warning. If they don't follow the warning, then they get a citation. Don't follow the citation, get arrested. It's 6:10 right now, John. Yeah, so we're kind of holding people here, but I wanted to do one interview, and your name was, sir?
Jose Dominguez.
Jose Dominguez. Thank you for talking to us, Jose. My name is JT, and we're talking to you because you were just telling me off camera that this morning your father was taken by ICE.
That's correct.
Yeah, walk us through what happened this morning.
So I already had like a feeling this morning, so I was trying to, keep calm. I messaged him, and he saw my message, he's like, okay. And then I messaged him again, but he never replied. I tried calling him, went to voicemail. I had a feeling. I went to the laundromat, saw his car there, went inside the laundromat. The lady said they took him. And then I just took surveillance video of what happened and posted it on social media.
Had you, first of all, I'm so sorry that has happened to you and your family right now. Have you gotten any word as to where he is, if he's okay?
I don't. I haven't got a hold of him.
So you're out here just in. Why did you feel the need to be here in this moment?
I feel like this is the least I can do for him.
Is to try and stand up, advocate for him, I assume.
Yes, that's correct.
So walk me through some of the emotions that you're feeling right now in this moment.
I mean, it hurts. I mean, honestly, seeing the video, it hurts a lot. I have no words, really. It's just something I wish for nobody to go through. My dad's a hard worker. He's not a criminal. He gets up every day, puts food on the table, just like everybody else. I think it's unfair. I believe in God, and I know they're going to release him. We're going to do it the right way. We're going to get a lawyer, and we're going to get him out of there. I'm just having calm right now, being patient.
I'm kind of struck by just the strength that you have in this moment right now, like that the fact that your father has just been taken, and you're out here demonstrating, telling this story, like standing up, talking. I mean, where's that strength coming from right now?
I'm telling you, man, God's doing everything, man. Trust me, I'm crying. I'm in tears right now. I'm trying to hold it together, but God is good, man. Good things are going to come through. I know it. I have faith in him. Yep.
Can you try to tell us a little bit about who your father is, what he was like as a person? I think for a lot of folks who don't have somebody in their family or in their community that's being directly impacted right now by what the federal government is doing, it can kind of just be like it's something that happens on the TV screen. It's not real, or it's just a statistic if they see some numbers about what had happened. Let's make it real for people. Tell us a little bit about him. What was he like? What is he like? What does he do? What are his hobbies? What's his work? That sort of thing.
Yeah. My dad, he gets up every day, puts food on the table. He likes soccer. He's a very chill guy. He has addiction of gambling. He's just a chill guy. I mean, I love him so much. He's not my blood. I already lost my real dad. He's a stepfather for me, but he's my real dad. He basically raised me when I was like 1, so I consider him as my dad, and it hurts a lot. It hurts a lot.
And like as you said, like somebody who's not a criminal, like just probably in the wrong place at the wrong time is what it seems. I mean, did you know that like this was a possibility? Like, were you afraid of this possibility at all?
I was afraid, and my parents didn't even go out either. Like, they always just work and then go home. And I was always protected over there. I'll go buy the errands, groceries, do everything for them. But they took my father. It hurts. I have no words, really. I'm just going day by day. It hasn't even been 24 hours. It already hurts like a lot.
Do you have a message for this administration that's disappeared your father? I mean, do you have words that you would want to leave people at home? Like if you had a message, I don't want to hold you too long. Like if this is a very raw, emotional moment for you. I think we've gotten a good sense for who he is, how you're feeling in this moment. But I'm kind of inviting you, like, is there any like parting thoughts that you would want to leave before we let you kind of step off camera here and continue to process what's happening?
I just hope all my Mexican people, my Latino raza, stay safe. I mean, it's okay to be scared. Like, if you have no reason to be out there, I get it. We have to work and everything. But if you have no reason to be out there, just stay home, you know? They're just getting anybody that even just looks Mexican. Like, it's not right. This isn't normal.
Jose, thank you very much. Appreciate it. John, I'm going to give you this microphone. I want to talk to him for just a moment. So just have you kind of show this.
Yep. All right, how's everyone doing? If you haven't done so already, smash that like button and share this when you can. There's just a few people out here.
So I think this is a very realistic perspective. It's raw. He's showing the whole area, panning around. You see all those cameras sitting over there, but there's no tear gas. It's not on fire at the moment. But obviously, this is a place where you have been getting some conflict. Chicago. Time difference here of 1 hour. So based on what he said, this feed now, this section of it, about 1 hour ago. And you can see the sun
So
setting.
it looks like more
now.
people are arriving. I'm curious to see how this goes. See if they'll get another warning about the no protest time, which is after 6. Now it's almost 6:20. So we'll see if the police come over and give a warning.
During the presidential election, I said, I have to wonder what it's going to look like if Trump follows through and with his promise to deport all these people. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to be, a very negative image. That being said, I think the administration has done an effective job of managing the narrative and the imaging throughout this, even though they have cameras focused very much on what's going on. And part of the way they've done that is they have, I think, almost glorified the deportations. I don't think almost they have. And they're using the conflict, the friction, even the violence, to say, look at what's going on. This is because of the immigration. This is because of the protesters supporting illegal people from being here, and therefore we need even more force out on the streets. There's some people saying we're very close to the implementation of maybe even a full-scale martial law at some point in some states, or maybe even across the U.S. Certainly in these Democrat-run communities, cities, states. This is what Trump is targeting. Democrat.
All right, JT will be right back. He's just finishing up this conversation.
Okay, let's take a break. We'll come back with more, because I have more stories, more on this, more on other top news stories of the day. Don't go away.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
We're back, and I'm just going to run a little bit more of this, and then we're going to move on. We're going to go back here to this delayed feed from Chicago tonight. Here we go. This is status quo news.
He has no control
Speak to my
over
mayor
that.
about that. But you're the one that actually executes.
That has to enforce it.
Yeah, so we've got law enforcement out here right now, again, enforcing that 6 p.m. curfew.
Be arrested, that's on you. Oh, do I want to, chat? All right, ups and downs.
So the law enforcement has been the village of Broadview rather has instituted these protest hours between 9 and 6, and in the designated areas that you are allowed to.
We call it the designated free speech area, where you can have free speech within the business hours. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. How does it make you feel to have your speech?
Angry. It's absolutely a violation of First Amendment rights, and I get what they're talking about. They're saying, well, it's disruptive to the people that live here, and that's kind of the point of protest, isn't it? Because if you don't disrupt the status quo, then nothing is going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're not allowed to, actually like interrupt any of the ICE operations, what is the
Not
point?
that anybody here is doing that. Everybody here has been very peaceful. There have been some counter protesters, and things have gotten loud. But other than that, any kind of aggression has come totally from ICE. Yeah.
Can you give us a sense of some of those? Give our viewers a couple of examples. I think they've probably seen on some of our live streams. But
I wasn't here for many of them. There was an old woman who was pushed to the ground and dragged. She was actually back here yesterday. She had gone to the hospital. She's all bruised up. There was a priest who was hit in the head with a pepper ball. Again, I'm sure you've heard of all of these.
Oh yeah, and I'll note too that a lot of our reporting has actually been used in some of these court cases that are that are actually helping protesters right now, like reestablish some of their rights. That prosecutor or folks who are filing some of these lawsuits against the federal government actually using status quo's reporting to show what it's actually like here on the ground, what federal authorities are actually doing to people. I want to be careful not to get you in trouble because I'm keeping you here holding a sign after law enforcement just warned you.
If I were to be arrested, at least I sincerely hope that it wouldn't hold up, because it is a violation of our constitutional rights to limit our ability to protest.
I mean, so is the act of protesting out here then essentially almost a meta protest in itself?
I guess, yeah. Just being here, yeah.
So what do you want to see from local authorities, from local leaders then to support your First Amendment rights?
I mean, the city of Broadview has issued this suit against ICE for the fence that they put up around the facility, which I think is a step. But I question the move to put in this ordinance where we're limited on our ability to protest. I would like to see more backing for the people that are here.
Backing in the form, I mean, we've seen the mayor issue some strongly worded statements, send some letters.
But she has also put in this ordinance that is limiting our ability to protest here.
So it's really just about repealing that order. And
yeah.
So, I mean, did any of the federal rulings that came out today, a lot of them in favor of folks out here protesting, their prefer what they would like to see happen. I imagine you kind of said, you're a little bit more skeptical of what this means long term. What does it do for your spirits, your ability to be out here longer? I mean, do you feel like you still have the energy to go the distance?
Oh, yeah.
And does the court orders help at all with
I'll
that?
continue showing up no matter what, you know. I think in sending the National Guard out here, the point was kind of to incite protesters so that they could paint us in a negative light as this like violent group, which is not the case at all. And it makes me just want to continue to be here in a peaceful way. I will continue to stay motivated to do that no matter what.
Okay.
Kate, is there anything that you would...
So one of the main reasons I wanted to run this stuff out of Chicago is because, of course, tonight we're seeing that a district court judge, April Perry, has blocked the deployment of National Guard troops in Illinois, Chicago, for 14 days, 2 weeks, granting the state's emergency motion against Trump. So the judge says the evidence presented in court today showed the National Guard's deployment may lead to, in the judge's words, civil unrest, and will, quote, only add fuel to the fire. The judge also called the Department of Homeland Security's assessment of protests in the Chicago area unreliable. Judge's word, Department of Homeland Security argued the troops were needed to support federal law enforcement in the state, citing protesters who have clashed with them at an immigration and customs enforcement facility in Broadview, where I just showed you the Chicago suburb, where we just brought you this feed from Status Quo News, Independent. Illinois and Chicago have sued the Trump administration prior to the National Guard deployment, arguing it was unconstitutional and not necessary. The Trump administration can't appeal this decision that we got today or potentially invoke the Insurrection Act. Escalating again, it's a rarely used law that provides presidents more power to deploy the military for domestic matters. So, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker today said on X, Donald Trump is not a king and his administration is not above the law. He went on to say today the court confirmed what we all know. There is no credible evidence of rebellion in the state of Illinois. I am inclined to believe that narrative coming from the White House, Kristi Noem, Pam Bondi, Donald Trump, is an exaggeration. You're getting conflict, certainly. You're getting protests. You're getting pepper balls. You're getting, fired by soldiers, ICE agents, maybe even local law enforcement in some cases. You are getting, sometimes even tear gas canisters. You're getting clashes in the streets as part of protests. But is it an actual insurrection? An attempt to overthrow the government? Depends on your perspective, I guess. I don't think this rises to the standard needed to invoke the Insurrection Act. The odd thing here is that everyone, not everyone, but a portion of the Canadian population, I would say probably even a healthy proportion of the people watching this program right now, you guys, just live it as I was when Justin Trudeau invoked the Emergencies Act in Canada during the Freedom Convoy protest. I said that day that at that moment, Canada as we knew it had died. And yet here we see Donald Trump doing exactly the same thing, about to, on a much larger scale in multiple cities, and already taking steps to put actual, not police officers, as we saw on the streets of Canada in Ottawa, to put down the Freedom Convoy protest. Those were police officers. What's going on in the States right now, these are National Guard soldiers being federalized so that they're under the control of the president directly and his administration. And this is really unprecedented. And I really see this as an even much broader overreach by the president and the Trump administration than what we got in Canada. And then what are we seeing also? You're seeing, we just ran it for you, this video out of the White House. What are they saying about Antifa? Which is, yeah, it's a real thing. Yeah, sometimes they're violent. I'm absolutely opposed to a lot of their tactics and what they do. But this is a political group that is in opposition to the Trump administration. They are, yes, I would say progressives, liberal, pro-immigration, probably pro-Democrat. Yeah, funded. Oh, definitely. But what are they doing? They're going after them by investigating the funding. How are they going to do that? Are they going to be violating people's rights, their people's privacy? Are they skimming data online? Did Elon Musk go online while he was heading up the Department of Getting Even? And is there all this data that he skimmed from income statements, private financial data? Has some of that been police state? Talk about a police state. And who's bringing all this to us? Mr. Trump. It boggles my mind how people are applauding for all of that, while at the same time criticizing the Canadian government for overreach. What's happened in Canada? Nothing. Really, truly nothing compared to this. They are literally just scooping people up off the street, no due process, throwing them on planes and flying them off to freaking El Salvador, Colombia, or no, it's El Salvador, right? Yeah. And throwing them in the gulag down there. In some cases, potentially for life sentences. It's like, wow. And just look at what the hell they're doing in, off the coast of Venezuela. Just blowing boats up. Here's Attorney General Pam Bondi again yesterday, White House, roundtable on Antifa. What does she say? They're going to take the same approach with Antifa that they're taking with the drug cartels off the coast of Venezuela. Here she is. This is the clip.
We had Apple and Google take down the ICE block apps. Hope they continue to comply with that. It's threatening the safety of our federal law enforcement officers. We're not going to stop at just arresting the violent criminals we can see in the streets. Fighting crime is more than just getting the bad guy off the streets. It's breaking down the organization brick by brick. Just like we did with cartels, we're going to take the same approach, President Trump, with Antifa. Destroy the entire organization from top to bottom. We're going to take them apart. Thanks to your bold leadership and the designation of Antifa as a terrorist organization, which is exactly what they are, Americans will no longer tolerate their unhinged violence. Thank you.
Are they a terrorist organization? I never thought of Antifa as a terrorist organization. I saw them as being a nuisance. I saw them as being sometimes violent. I have seen them being way out of line, sometimes committing crimes in the streets for which they should be held accountable. But do they rise to the level of a terrorist organization? There have been, I believe, 2 people killed in Antifa incidents over the years, Antifa-related violence. I think 2. So in that regard, yeah, I really find it distasteful. But we're talking about politics, free speech, freedom of expression, right to protest, all of these things, and I get really queasy when I see even the president targeting political opponents in the way that he has been. He's literally been purging the bureaucracy of all political opposition. If you're against Trump and there's anything you post online, anything like that, your job is toast, man. Your career is over with. Don't say anything negative or you'll never work again. certainly not within government. Here's Trump even saying, right here, this is a post, this is his clip from yesterday, saying that they're taking away free speech, basically from political opponents.
Made it 1 year penalty for inciting riots. We took the freedom of speech away because that's been through the courts, and the court said you have freedom of speech. But what has happened is when they burn a flag, it agitates and irritates crowds. They've never seen anything like it on both sides, and you end up with riots. So we're going on that basis. We're looking at it from not from the freedom of speech, which I always felt strongly about, but never passed the courts. This is what they do, is they incite. When you burn an American flag, you incite tremendous violence. We have many examples of it, many examples of it, and it's actually down on tape, and you see things happen that just don't happen unless it's the flag that's burning.
Well, you just heard it, folks. Donald Trump is taking away freedom of speech. But the funny thing is, America was never actually a free country. It was founded off of Freemasonry. George Washington was a Freemason, and he owned slaves. This country was essentially founded off of slavery. We've never actually had rights, especially during the Cold War, where people were arrested for being communist sympathizers. It's all a facade. We've never actually had our freedoms. Even though we seem to have more rights than other countries, the truth is we have always been corporate slaves.
Okay, so we've given him his free speech too. And it just goes around and around in circles. So Trump taking away free speech from his political opponents. You hear this guy with his perspective, totally, diametrically opposed. No wonder we've got the clashes in the streets. And they're going to take down Antifa the same way they're taking down the cartels, which in itself is generating controversy. Do I have the clip here of that I need to share with you? Yeah, right here. Here's who's been concerned about that. A Republican. A number of Republicans, actually. Rand Paul, again, tonight. Saying that blowing up boats off the coast of Venezuela, probably not a real solution to problems.
I want to ask you about what's going on in the Caribbean, Senator Rand Paul, and specifically when it comes to Venezuela. And you've been outspoken about this. You commented around fears of extrajudicial killings following the first boat. We've now had 4. Your concern about the president's actions here, is he looking for regime change in Venezuela?
I don't know, but we did discover today that the Coast Guard, when they interdict boats, it's a common thing off the coast of Miami and California. Yeah. About 25% of the time, the boat that they board doesn't have drugs on it. So they have made an error, but they don't kill them. But we've blown up 4 boats now, and if the percentages hold true, did one of those 4 boats not have drug dealers on it? If they all had drug dealers on it, the first 11 they killed, what were their names? What was the evidence linking them to being part of a gang? So I think there's a lot of unknowns here, and I don't think you can have a universal Coast Guard policy of just blowing up boats before they're interdicted. There's, decades-long history of how we board boats. We say, halt, stop, we will board your boat. Mm-hmm. If they don't halt and stop, there's an escalation of use of force. But we don't just blow ships up. So there is a real problem, and yes, I think it might lead to regime change. And some of the more skeptical among us think that maybe this is a provocation to lead to real regime change, a provocation to get the Venezuelans to react so we can then insert the military. I hope that's not true.
Well, I know you're very familiar with these rules as chairman of the Senate Homeland Security Committee, and there's been a question more recently about whether there's a congressional answer to this. Would you support a War Powers Act with eyes on Venezuela?
Yes, I will co-sponsor the War Powers Act later this week, and we will be discussing this on the floor. I think it's one of the most important debates we have. And the idea that you can kill someone who you don't know their name and has had no process at all. People say, oh, you're going to give due process to fentanyl killers and all of this. Even in our country, 20,000 people commit murders, and as angry as we are, if it were my family, I would, want to shoot them. But we still have trials because occasionally the accused is found innocent and not guilty. Occasionally we make mistakes, but we can't have a policy where we just blow up ships where we don't even know the people's names. It can't be the policy for drug interdiction either in the country or outside the country. So I will support a war resolution to say the government shouldn't be doing this.
Well, that's news, Senator, and really interesting that you're going to put your name on this. Do you have other Republicans who will support that legislation?
There will be people quietly who will say it's the right thing to do and will respect me for doing the right thing. I think most will be afraid of the response from the White House.
Yeah, afraid. And I say beware of those who rule through fear.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Let's just do a little Twitter scroll here. Okay. Here's another perspective. What city is this feed coming from? We have a bunch of stuff here on this. Okay, this is from October 7th, not live. Let's bring it up. I just typed in Civil War to see what we get on Twitter tonight.
Before they start popping off more rounds and more pepper and more smoke, I wanted to point out to you that they came. We're doing the shift change right now, but this is the crazy part, guys. Peaceful protesters. They got a guy on the roof with a high-powered 7.62 rifle, which is extremely unnecessary.
Look how many people are on the roof right there. Some of those are actual guns too. Yeah, some of them are actual guns right there. Oh, look at that. Dude, there was
People cheering for that, but upset about what happened during the Freedom Convoy and on the Canadian side. I just looks very similar to me. Only worse, way worse. What else do we have here? It's officially civil war.
This administration. So I'm just going to call it because I don't see anybody else calling it. We're in a civil war.
Let's get back in August. This is, so people have been talking like this for a while. This is back in September.
You ain't gotta say it, it's a gang that we throw up. We the ones that go shoot up your car.
Scroll down. Oh, there's our live feed on X. I'm restreaming myself. June. So a lot to talk about it. MAGA cult slayer says everything we are seeing is being created to evoke maximum emotional response. The machine is churning out content at a rate in which we are barreling to civil war, and most of you can't see it. We have to call out the culprits, the puppet masters. On the eve of peace. What's this? This is something to do with the... Ron Clark admits everybody in the convoy says he was talking about a civil war, but somehow he thinks this disproves the case against the accused from Coots. To me, this confirms the real aims of the convoy movement. He skated around the term on his lives until now.
If you were to grab anybody's phone back in 2022 during the convoy stage in Ottawa, any of these borders, when the police are coming in, you're going to get a lot of stuff on those phones. You will get a lot of stuff on your phones. A lot of crazy stuff. Like, oh, we're going to be in a civil war and this and that. Yeah, everybody was outraged. Everybody was, speaking the way they shouldn't be speaking sometimes. If you were to...
Truth. Inconvenient. There it is. This is actually an old post. This is like from over a year ago. And yet the language persists. I would say a lot of it's actually more in the open now than it was even then. Yeah.
Civil war. I don't think this is leading to civil.
This is Harrison Smith on InfoWars.
War? Like, what the hell are we talking about here? I don't want there to be a civil war. I don't think there should be a civil war. I think, honestly, it probably wouldn't even be that bad of an outcome for us if it was.
Oh, my God.
And this is the thing.
Do you think he doesn't want a civil war when he says it might not be so bad, but I don't really want one, but it might not be so bad? It'd be pretty freaking bad. People who talk like that haven't been through war. And I thank God that I haven't been, but I think I'm sane enough to say we don't want it at all.
Like, people are like, what, are you going to go out and fight? First of all, God, please give me the chance. Please, for the love of God. I would just love to. Yes, please. I would love to be out in the field. But B, do we not have like the biggest army in the history of the world? Do we not have the biggest and most powerful military in the history of the world? Why are they all in Germany and Qatar? Why are they all in Switzerland? And, God knows where else. Why are they not here at home protecting the homeland from the invasion that we were subjected to 4 years ago? If they actually want a civil war, like, have they thought about what that actually means? Of course they have, because they keep threatening us with it. Because when we say, hey, we don't want to give up our guns, it's enshrined as our right given to us by God, is the second most important point in the Bill of Rights. They say, well, you're going to need F-15s because we're going to bomb the hell out of you. You don't have nuclear weapons, do you? Okay. Does the mayor of Chicago have nuclear weapons? Does the mayor of Chicago have F-16s? Does the mayor of Chicago have platoons of Green Berets and Army Rangers? No? Oh, but we do? Oh, okay, great. He wants a civil war? Really? No, they want to create the conditions for a civil war. They want to create the chaos and misery that precedes a civil war, assuming or believing that by 2028, either they're going to gain power and be able to, order the army to go fire on American citizens without cause, or, stage this giant nationwide shutdown by organizing all of the unions to all go on strike on May 1st, while simultaneously you have mobs of violent Antifa overthrowing municipal governments and installing communist Soviet commissions. So are we going to wait for that? Are we waiting for that inevitability, or should we just enforce law and order as is obligated by the Constitution? It's so unbelievably insane how we even got to this point. I'll tell you more about it on the other side. Chicago police is leading.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Not looking good, folks. Not looking good. Not looking good at all. What else we seeing here? Oh, there's that Tucker Carlson post. Civil war, on the verge of civil war. When I listen to him, though, like so many others, including what we just heard from that InfoWars host, doesn't sound like they want to de-escalate. I want to be out on the streets. I want to fight. That's what he said. That's not cool. And then I'm seeing all these, what should be just political issues where you have, maybe some protesting, but just civil discussion and then a political process to try to resolve it. Not these days. Everything's ramping up to the point where it's just gone insane. I hope you guys can stay sane as we move forward through time toward tomorrow. I will be back then, 7 p.m. Eastern. And until then, I will leave you with, what do you want to hear? Well, just in case things go crazy hairy down there in the US of A, and somebody gets the bright idea that maybe they're going to come up here and annex Kanakistan, just remember, we have Captain Ass Kicker on our side. See you tomorrow on the flip side.
Y'all better stand back. He's laced up his boots, cracked open a cold one, and somebody's about to get C-A-K. Well, he rolls into town on a Harley so loud, with a stars and stripes cape and a jaw like a plow. Don't need no laser beams, no high-tech tricks. He just winds up that boot and lets it fly real quick. He kicks ass to the left, kicks ass to the right. Captain Ass Kicker's looking for a fight. From sundown to sunrise, he'll brawl and bite, 'cause Captain Ass Kicker is alright. He's the outlaw hero of this one-horse town, putting punks in their place, laying bad guys down. Ain't no Cape Crusader wearing tights and blush, just a trucker hat and a boot full of hush. He kicks ass in the morning, kicks ass at night. C-A-K, don't care if you're wrong or right. You run your mouth, he's quick to ignite. Yeah, Captain Ass Kicker is died right. He don't fly, he don't swing from no thread. He'll just kick your ego straight out of your head. Justice don't come with a judge and a gavel. It comes with a boot and a trail of gravel. He's banned from 6 states and a Waffle House, but the people still cheer when he clears the louts. He don't play nice, don't read no scripts. He just cocked his foot. Oh, there it ripped! He kicks ass in the east, kicks ass in the west. C-A-K, don't sleep, he don't need rest. If there's trouble brewing, he's your invite. Captain Ass Kicker
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.